So Abu Ayyub radiallahu anhu was very old when he left this world. But look at Rasulullah statement that لَتُفْتَحَنَّ الْقُسْطَنْطِينِيَّةِ, that definitely Constantinople will be conquered. فَلَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ أَمِيرُهَا, how wonderful is the Amir of that army. وَلَنِعْمَ الْجَيْشِ ذَلِكَ الْجَيْشِ, and how wonderful is that army that will be alongside with that Amir. 856 years later, there was a youngster by the name of Muhammad, the son of Murad Khan, rahimahullah. And this young Muhammad, from a tender age, his father worried about his ilm and worried about his understanding of Islam and understanding of Sharia. He made mashura with the ulama that who would teach my child? Who would teach my child? And few ulama was sent, but the child wouldn't listen. Then he sent an alim who would be able to mix between softness and strictness. And that was none other than Mullah al-Qurani rahimahullah ta'ala. His ustad comes to teach him. The child didn't want to listen. He says, I will teach you with my stick then. And then he learned the Quran in a very short span. And with the Quran afterwards, there were many asatidah who would teach him. Like Shamsuddin rahimahullah. He learned hadith, he learned fiqh, he learned history, tarikh. He learned lugha, the Arabic language, the Persian language, the Turkish language. He learned geography. He learned horse riding, furusiyah. His ustad imbibed in him the ahadith of Rasulullah and explained to him more specifically, when explaining and teaching him geography, that how did Allah's Nabi speak of this hadith? Imagine more than 800 years prior to this. And his ustad from a tender age of maktab from that time prepared him and taught him that you are going to make this khidmat of Islam. What Rasulullah spoke about, this impregnable city that Rasulullah prophesied, it is you who's going to fulfill that prophecy of Habibullah and you are going to win Habibullah du'as. And where did he get this inspiration from? From his tender age, from his ustad. Now his father strove in Allah's path and made jihad for so many years, Murad Khan rahimahullah. But now he felt that his heart was getting hard, and he wanted to spend time in seclusion and in ta'alluq, even though his life was in ibadah, in serving humanity and bringing lands to Islam and showing justice to humanity. Even non-Muslims who lived under the Ottoman Empire were very, very happy because of their justice and their dealings and their fair practices. Even the inception of this dynasty was Uthman rahimahullah. He was a judge in the initial stages, and he was an alim as well. His ustad was Sheikh Idlibi rahimahullah, Adab Ali or Idlibi rahimahullah ta'ala. But one day, as he was a scholar, and people would come to him to get their issues solved, a Christian and a Muslim are brought to him in his court one day. And when he hears the entire case, he passes decision that the Christian is on the right. When hearing the case, he passes decision that the Christian is on the right. After that, he asks him that, oh, respected leader, that just to find out from you, I'm not of your faith, and you pass decision that I win the case. How come? He says, my Allah who created us in the Quran instructs us, وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ أَن تَحْكُمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ, that the ummah of Muhammad when you judge between mankind, be just in your judge, irrespective of people's race, religion, or nationality, or size. Allah give us tawfiq. And this is how the Ottomans spread Islam, and many of the people of Christianity came into Islam because of their just teachings and practices. And because they ruled their lands next to the Byzantine Empire, and as they would penetrate into these lands, many Christians would call them in to come and take over because of the Ottomans' just method of rule. So likewise, Murad now, after many years of sacrifice, and now there was a truce between the Ottomans and the Byzantinians, he went now into seclusion, and he appointed his son, despite his son's tender age of only 16. Now his son takes over, and now there was a huge cry and a hue of joy, cry in the ministry of Murad. But Murad relied on his son. But now, because the Christians were too happy and they broke their pledges with the Ottomans that would last for 10 years, but they broke that agreement and they were coming for Muslim lands. Now, because Muhammad rahimahullah needed his father's guidance, so he calls his father out of seclusion. And then he says, "Oh my father, come back and take your post." His father responds that, "Son, you can handle it, and I'm now devoting all myself to ta'alluq and dhikr." And he then insists on his father, saying, "Oh my father, if you are the Khalifa or the Sultan, come and take your post. And if I am the Sultan, I instruct you to come and lead this army." And Sultan Murad comes back and takes this post, and he again continues striving in Allah's way for another 6 years. And then he becomes shaheed in the path of Allah. And then at the age of 22, Sultan Muhammad rahimahullah, the young Muhammad, the alim, the scholar, he now becomes the Sultan of the Ottomans. And when he takes over, Allah Ta'ala guided him with this zeal to win this dua of Rasulullah in regards to conquering Constantinople. He wanted Rasulullah's dua, and he wanted to win this achievement of Islam, because like many rulers before him tried, and Muhammad rahimahullah realized that if he's going to win this dua and this prophecy in his favor, he has to correct the a'mal of the ummah. So first he sent ulama to work on the people like he himself did so, until a time, months and few years went by, until he himself went in and would disguise himself and go into the marketplace to see the dealings of the people. He one day goes into the market and he makes as though he wants to purchase something to test the iman, the level of the iman of the people in the market. And he asks for butter, honey, and cheese. The shopkeeper says, "Respected brother, would you buy or purchase the honey from me and take the butter and cheese from my neighbor?" At least then he would also be making his first sale for the day. And he did so happily. And when he goes to the next shopkeeper and he does the same, "Please purchase the butter from me and the milk from my neighbor." And like that, all of us can earn some profit. Muhammad rahimahullah returned to his shura explaining this, and then he said that leave just Constantinople. If the adl and the deen of the Muslims and the ummah is like this in the market, that means that is the barakah of Sahaba radiallahu anhum. In Umar radiallahu anhu's time, we learned Sahaba's statement that Sahaba was such, the suq of the Muslims was like the masjid. Like, what is meant by that? Suqul muslimin ka musalla al-musallin. What is meant by that is when the ummah, like the ummah obeys Allah's commands in the masjid, Sahaba would also obey Allah's commands in the marketplace also. And the same consciousness of Allah Ta'ala in the marketplace and in the masjid. That's why the reward of dhikrullah is so much in the market. In the hadith of Tirmidhi, Umar radiallahu anhu reports, Allah's Habib sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if one recites the fourth kalima one time in the market, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumit wa huwa hayyun la yamut biyadihi al-khayr wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. One time in the market, Allah rewards a person with 1 million good deeds. Alf hasana. Muhiyat anhu, wiped out. Alf sayyi'ah, 1 million sins. Raised 1 million ranks. And Allah constructs for him a palace in Jannah, in Tirmidhi. Why so much of rewards? Because generally a person neglects the orders of Allah in the market. So this encouragement is, in spite of shaitan's efforts for him to forget Allah, he's still conscious of Allah, the reward is much more. But imagine this time where Muhammad rahimahullah works on his people, and that care and that love and that compassion and feeling for others was there in the market. He says Allah will give us not only Constantinople, Allah will give us the whole dunya if we uphold Allah's orders like this. This was the first step. Now he realized the ummah is ready, and now he made his move towards Constantinople.